keep in mind that this book came out of my own experience that I began having in the early 80s, where I was recognizing that we were having a mass shared dream, that this world, this life that we all are having, it's as if, it's a collective dream. And so with my work in Dispelling Wetiko, I point out again and again in as many different ways as I can imagine that this world is dreamlike in its nature. And that's not even though it sounds really kind of like this radical point of view, it's very steeped in any wisdom tradition, will creatively articulate the same idea. And it's also what quantum physics is pointing at more and more. The physicists are discovering, oh my God, physics, the quantum physics actually is the physics of the dream. And so one of the things about a dream is that, well, it's a reflection, it's a projection of the mind. And when we're in a dream, and I'm talking at night, and we don't have the recognition of the nature of our situation, we actually react to the forms of the dream as if they're separate from ourselves, as if they objectively exist. And that actually is the very process where we're actually creating karma, you could say, but also it's like it's like we're a kitten looking in a mirror, seeing her reflection, which is just her own energy, but then reacting to the reflection as if it's something other than ourselves, which then just the reflection, the surface of the mirror just will reflect that back, or reacting to it. So then it becomes an infinitely self-perpetuating feedback loop where we actually are imprisoning ourselves by the creative power of our own mind. And so what I'm actually pointing at is that to the extent that we think, and it's really like a thinking process, that this world actually exists in an objective fashion, separate from ourselves, that's the extent that we've fallen under the spell of our own mind, and we've become, in a sense, under self-deception. And that can go on for not only this lifetime, but for a number of lifetimes. And that perspective of actually thinking or having an imagination that the world is separate from ourselves, and then reacting to it as if it is separate from ourselves, it will then, being that a dream is just a reflection, and I keep on talking about this being dreamlike, if we treat this, if we think this world is independent and objective, it will then, in no time whatsoever, reflect back the very point of view that we're entertaining. So then it will give us all the evidence that we need to support our perspective, that it is objective, which then we become even more entrenched in that viewpoint. So we then even more see the world as separate and objective, and the more we see it that way, the more it proves to us that it really is that way in a feedback loop, which is generated by our own mind. And what I'm describing, that's what, in my book, that's what the Native American people call Wetiko disease, or it's a psychosis. And the thing about Wetiko, it's a collective psychosis, and our species, it's amazing to me that it's not, front page headlines every day in all the media. The fact that our species has fallen into a collective psychosis of titanic proportions, from my point of view, is big news. And yet, it's not even talked about because it's become like this thing that's normalized to the point, just like a fish in water, it doesn't notice the water. We're so completely steeped in this psychic epidemic called Wetiko that most people don't even know about it, and it seems to be the normal way of things. And it's at the bottom, like I point out in my book, it's at the bottom of really the real evil that we as a species are playing out on the greater in the greater body politic. It's at the bottom of, it's like this multidimensional dis-ease where it informs the evil that we're playing out within our own selves, our self-destructive processes, our addictive processes, our habitual patterns. It informs, the shadowy stuff that we play out with each other on the interpersonal dimension, and it's informing collectively what our species is playing out on the world stage. And it's all based on, in a sense, being entranced by the projective tendencies of our own mind and not recognizing that what we're actually reacting to is our mind's own energy. So that's a really simple way of describing the Wetiko virus.